Well, it'll shortly be Easter time, so happy Easter to you. It's approximately 34 minutes away as I speak to you. I just decided to pop in, look in on you, see how you're doing. It's been a while. As you know, the Scary Era podcast tends to take most of my time these days. I was editing it tonight, speaking to a guy, well, I won't tell you who he is, a very interesting Kerry man. Fantastic guy with a deep love and affection for Ireland, essentially, and the mythology and history and all that good stuff. He just seems to embody Ireland. And no, I'll say no more about him. But it occurred to me as I was putting it together, wow, I'm 14 episodes in now to Scary Era. Started in October, just around Halloween time, appropriately enough. This is the paranormal podcast I have for those of you who don't know. And it's a bit of a labour of love. At times I'm not in the mood for it at all. But I always get in the mood when I've got a guest on the other end of the phone or in person. And it's amazing. It just comes together. It really is that thing about if you build it, they will come. It really is. It has a momentum now and a following, and certainly it's known amongst the paranormal community in Ireland and far and wide as well, I suppose. But these guys as well I'm interviewing, a lot of them are good 20 years, 15 years younger than I am, and they have massive followings on social media, you know. Thousands of followers. And it's great to be in their company because they're pretty dynamic at putting their content together. But anyway. That's all by the by. Like my pyjamas? Yes, I'm at the age now where I've decided to don pyjamas. And guess what I'm going to do next? I'm watching and regaling in old episodes of... Now, this is going to go over a lot of people's heads. Those of you of a certain age might remember Eddie Shoestring, starring Trevor Eve. And I just love it. It's me. You see, there's a radio station background there. I love all that. And I remember loving it at the time. And I would have only been about 15, 16 when it came out. And I saw an interview with Trevor Eves recently. It was a few years old. But he was reminiscing on his time. He only spent about a season or two seasons, I think, of Shoestring, and it was hugely popular. And back then, there was no social media or YouTube or whatever. You got, like, audiences of millions. But he said he was about 29 at the time, and no, I don't care if it's got legs and another third and fourth and maybe even fifth series in it. I want out. I want to do the theatre. I want to spread my wings. Which was very admirable. And then again, it depends what you want. He didn't want the adulation. He thought it was, well, first of all, he wasn't comfortable in it. And he thought it was a bit inane, really. He said at one point he was in a big department store in London and he was informed, we're closing the store so you can sign autographs for the staff. And he went, crazy. I really don't want any of this. He said, I didn't go to another department store for about 2 years afterwards. Because people don't necessarily want to be, they might want to do their craft, but don't want the recognition that goes with it. Point in case would be an actor. Oh, somebody help me here. He played Patton. Remember General Patton? George. Showing my age, but anyway, yeah, he was a guy, a very fine actor, had no time at all for the extracurricular activities or fame or anything like that. George C. Scott. And he won an Oscar. He actually said to the committee in Hollywood, he said, I won't be there to collect it. He said, I'm not interested. I'm watching sports tonight. So there you go. All around us these days, without me doing a big homily, because I am watching Shoestring in a moment, is conflict there is real conflict in places like Gaza and Ukraine, and it's horrendous. And those of you who fly flags for either side should be ashamed of yourselves, because a lot of you haven't. You've got a very pedestrian understanding of what's going on. I'm not lecturing you. I am telling you, by doing that kind of crappy virtue signalling, you're propagating the butchery of young men and indeed women too. Kids, I have them. Some of you have them in their 20s, in their teens. It's disgusting. And it is just so irresponsible to, as I said, in a very pedestrian way, start flying fucking flags or cheering on one side or the other. You really have no fucking idea. I remember many, many moons ago, I was in school and we were just, as teenagers, talking in the class, or were asked to contribute to a class, and one of the teachers was there. I won't name him, he's probably still alive. And this guy started, and he meant well. He was only a student, but he started going on about Vietnam and how wrong the Vietnam War was and da-da-da-da-da. But again, I probably would agree with him, actually, when I think back. But again, it was a very, I hear a bit on the news, so I'm going to let you all have it, both barrels. And the teacher went off, fucking, as they say, lost his shit, right? And he said, listen, friend, this is, which is ironic, It's like in Dublin, when you get into a fight, listen, pal. You suddenly become friends with the person who's about to burst you, as they say. And he said, listen, friend, never, ever, ever, ever speak about something you know nothing about. And I always distinctly remember that. He let this kid have it. Now, it transpired, I believe, that the same teacher had been in Vietnam. And I think he was you're a Vietnam vet. Well, I think he was a cook in Vietnam. And as a younger man. And I suppose he was still smarting somewhat from the defeat at that point. But he was, as sure, he lost comrades and whatever and was bitter about it. But it's very true. Don't get jingoistic for something that you know nothing about and is also none of your fucking business, realistically. All right? Especially when it involves the wholesale slaughter, as I said, of kids. The owl fellas, in the words of, was it Vidal Sassoon? Siegfried Sassoon, I think the hair got in my way. Siegfried Sassoon, what was it, that poem he wrote about old generals, old men who'll go home and die in bed? And they will. They'll die in bed. Their arses aren't going to be on the front line. So you shouldn't be fucking, egging them on. Because you think, look how virtuous I am. It is bollocks with a capital B. But I fear I'm getting into lecture mode, which is not what I am about these days. And my wife will tell you I have really backed out of losing it. I felt it wasn't doing my health any good to be shouting at the TV. I am appalled at the quality of... Can I even dignify them by calling them politicians in this country? And the state of it? These are ersatz puppets that we have, little minions doffing their cap to the EU as opposed to running the fucking country. And they know who they are, and I couldn't even, as I said, dignify them by... That's why I have really, and I'm reining myself in now, I've learned to just get I'm not going to engage, especially after the last election, right? To hell, which is fucking plaguing all your houses. Don't give a fuck anymore. Getting on, living my life. And I've had a super April. First quarter went by and it was all right, but I felt it was a bit lackluster and not the way I had planned the new year to be. Really is, I know it's cliched, but it's an attitude thing. I really got my shit together this month now. The good weather in the first part of it certainly helped. I'm off to New York in another 2 months' time, just for a bit, and work started coming in. I won't name it, but a very good contract from Germany, and it's kept me going. And there's been other stuff. Yeah, there was a few other really chunky ones as well on the voiceover front. And I got a radio ad this week with a very high-profile name. And then the other old one's still running on TV. It's running. But I get out for my exercise every day. And sometimes I was doing 2 walks a day. I'd go down by the sea here. You don't know, do you? You don't. It's time for me to watch Shoestring. Anyway, it's been nice popping in to see you guys. Look after yourself. Good people are scarce. Good night.